MM, and I ask a lot of questions.
I'm Pia, and I don't have a filter.
We'll be asking questions you dare not ask.
And giving answers that might be a little too honest.
So listen up, come and eavesdrop.
This is the Chismis Table.
Hi everybody! We're back with another episode of TCT with one of my bestest friends ever, my favorite people, Migo, because today is another day of exciting discussions. So, gender identity or sexual orientation, I just recently found out that I don't know the difference between the two, but either way, they're very polarizing, especially in Asia. I'm currently in Florida, and people would think that America is a little bit more open, liberated about this concept, but they're not. I think that in Asia, or particularly in the Philippines, it's not as difficult, but that's only my experience. And that's maybe because I'm in the proper circle. But in Asia in particular, we're a very conservative nation. And not to mention, we're heavily religious. And regardless of what faith you subscribe to, there's no religious belief that will endorse being part of the LGBT community or, straying away from male or female or even being a supporter of it. But here at the Chismis Table, we're not only staunch supporters of the community, but we look up to many of our friends and our colleagues who are loud, proud, and making waves in their own fields. Particularly our exciting guest right now, Migo. Hello!
Hello! Awkward naman ng intro.
Why?
Hello.
So everybody, Migo is currently in Singapore. He has been my dear friend ever since we were children in the
Yeah.
Hindi ba?
No, I was trying to count how long ago.
I don't know.
12 years, 14 years, 15 years.
Tagal na.
Very long
Sobrang
time.
tagal, yeah.
Kailan ka nga
Yeah,
umalis? After high school.
No, I left during college, mga 2005, 2006. So I've been in Singapore for about 14 years na. Plus minus, I've lost track.
Okay.
Yeah. Super tagal na, basically. Yeah.
So which do you consider as home?
I would say, to be honest, dito. Sa Singapore na. Kasi, Singapore, I mean, lumaki ako dyan and I knew all you guys from there. Pero, I would say I grew up here. Kasi I came out here.
True.
So, not back home. So, that's when I kind of recognized as, dito na ako magpuput down ng roots and I have, mas sanay na ako dito than back home. Like, when I go back to visit my family and friends there, parang ako, turista ang feeling. It's I don't know how to describe it, but if you've lived somewhere for so long, like there's always home and it's always familiar. Pero dito na ako mas sanay, I have to say. Yeah.
Okay, very quick background. So Migo, when he was in the Philippines, did not come out. We all knew him as a straight guy, or maybe we had our doubts.
You all had your doubts.
We all
Everybody
had our doubts.
So it's
but
fine.
He did not come out. We never forced him to do so. And then when he moved to Singapore and he was very active on social media, we saw the gradual opening up from straight to maybe gay to super gay to drag queen.
Akala ko naman you guys always knew.
No.
Like I always... Ay, hindi pala.
No, I think
Okay.
nobody knew from my close friend circle back then, sila Pia, sila Kyle. No, I only came out officially in Singapore siguro mga 2008, 2009. And it was to a group of girlfriends I had in university.
That was you have been
story.
in Singapore for 3 years by then, tama?
By then, I was in
Okay.
university na eh. So, like, proper, like, college and everything. So, I was with a group of girlfriends. And we went to a party. And then in this party, parang may club, may mga shirtless bartender. Eh, ang cute. Sabi ko, wala akong mapagsabihan. Sabi ko, ang gwapo-gwapo ng bartender. Sabi ko, shit, kailangan may pagsabihan. So, I finally told my friends, I pulled them aside. Like, guys, I want to tell you guys something. And ang gwapo ng bartender, can we talk about it? And they're like, oh my God, you're gay, whatever. Then it was like, that was kind of the first time I said it out loud to people. And I think after that, I told you, I came out to Carol, to Pia, kanila Stella, kay Monisha, kay May, I believe. So my SATC group. And then I think to my other dance friends in university. So my close groups of friends. And then when I saw na, oh, it was okay. I think because they all knew anyway about who I was, and I really hid anything. I wasn't straight acting, whatever. I was just me. So when I realized that, then I just lived my life like that. And when people ask who I think are genuinely my friends, then I would tell them. But I never like parang blurted it out na, oh, I'm gay. It's not the first thing I tell people, kind of thing, you know? If that makes sense.
Wait, so you officially admitted to yourself and to everybody, or not naman officially, publicly admitted to everybody 3 years into Singapore, right? So did you know before then?
Yeah.
When?
That I was gay?
Yeah.
That I was gay? Yeah, before pa.
How?
It's hard to describe, but when you're a bata pa lang, you know that you're different in some way. So I don't think I had a word for it until much later. But you know when you're like 4 or 5, you like drape yung mga blankets sa buhok mo, and then you like pretend to dress, or like as a boy you don't like sports. So you knew na parang, as a boy I should play basketball. I should operative word, but I don't. Then I would play with my cousin's dolls when I visit her. I knew then na I shouldn't be playing with dolls, but my excuse ko was, I have sisters, so I'll play with the doll. Yun ang parang proxy. So I made up these excuses because I knew that this is not what boys did. So I knew I was different. But it wasn't until maybe high school that I was like, I think I'm different, but I didn't want to admit it na I'm entirely gay. So I thought maybe I'm bi.
Why? Yeah.
Because society, it's just, and well, number one, you see all of these messages now. This is not what you should be doing. This is not who you should be attracted to, blah blah blah. And then of course high school, right? Everyone's like pairing up. May nanliligaw, and you're like, no one, wala akong gusto in that traditional sense. That's when the whole like Monique thing happened. You're like, maybe I'll date someone or like legal someone just because.
Not MM for everyone's knowledge. Wait.
Oh, no, not you.
So that thing was
it was part of my parang process of exploring things. So I thought, okay, I don't want to admit to myself that I'm gay. So maybe let's try to see if I develop feelings for a girl, and maybe it will feel real, and then I could be the best of both worlds. Come on, Mandy Cyrus. So yun yung thought process ko at the time. But then when I went through that whole process, that whole charade, I feel parang wala namang outcome. I didn't really feel anything genuine. I mean, I love Monique as a friend, but not, in that way lah, basically.
Why then did you okay, again, for everyone's background. So in high school, when was this? 4th year? Second?
I think 4th year.
4th year, right? There was this mystery admirer that suddenly popped up in class, giving gifts to one of our friends, Monique, and she is part of our high school barkada at the time. And it was a huge deal for everybody because parang, who the heck is this? Ito talagang arte.
Right?
May mga lyrics pa. What the hell?
Wow.
Correct.
And then
my heart-wrenching moments pa, admit, and all that. Parang, oh my God, looking back, seriously, who are you trying to kid, sis?
Yeah, and then turns out eventually it was Migo trying to court Monique.
Yes.
So now you're saying that it was part of your exploration, right? So there were a lot of girls in class. There were a lot of options. And then you chose Monique. So there must have been some kind of attraction or something.
There was. yeah. There was something there. I mean, I genuinely liked her as a friend, right?
How about me?
So I thought, "Do you want me to date you? Did you want me to? Did you want me to court you back in high school?"
But I would have
No.
liked to be chosen.
Yun lang pala
Like,
yung issue
everyone gets a
mo.
rose. Yun lang pala. Kailangan pala siya
Kaya,
muna kong
kaya
pinili.
yun yung question
In
na yan.
short.
She just wanted, yun lang yun.
No, honestly, I mean, again, Migo, I've known you for a really long time, and we don't really have a lot of filters, but this is news to me.
No. Okay. Let me qualify. It wasn't entirely like charades. I genuinely had like maybe I would say maybe platonic feelings for her, and I thought, okay, if I wanted to, and it was strong enough for me to say, oh, maybe if I court her, it would become something else. It would become the romantic feelings that I observe other people have, other guys have for other girls, and maybe if it's successful, then maybe not say it would cure, but oh, I can feel that same way, so I'm not entirely free. Parang it's a weird
Yeah.
logic, but that was what I thought would be the outcome of it. Then when I saw na oh, I think inamin ko sa kanya or something. When I saw that she was going with someone else, I was like, oh, maybe there's no point in this being in pursuing this. Then I stopped that, and then I think we graduated and in college, and everything happened. So that was like a blip in that experiment where I was like, okay, this is not for me. Talaga, this is not for me. Yeah.
Was she the only girl ever?
There was one more. There was one more that I tried to court. My there were two like younger batch girls that we were both interested in.
Oh yes. Okay, I remember. That's right.
Yeah. I don't know. I forgot her name.
I forgot her name, but I remember the moment.
He was courting her and I was courting her friend. And then like parang ako, dude, we had like stuffed toys and shit. I'm like, dude, what the fuck are we doing? And I'm just like going with the motion because I thought that was what I should be doing. But did I genuinely like the girl? Yeah, she's pretty. I will do her makeup, blah blah blah, but not like romantically wanna be with her. So that was my entire high school. Basically, was trying to like see where I fit in and make sense of these feelings.
Okay, I will pause here
And
for a
that's
moment so I can put in a slideshow of what Migo looks like now. Of how open you are right now. That's why I find it hilarious that you were courting girls.
Diba?
Lahat kaya na-shock dyan sa na nag-out ka.
Which one?
Na nag-out ka.
Okay.
Like everyone here in the Philippines, everyone's asking me,
Really?
did you always know? Ganyan. Pero ako, hindi. Akala ko talaga na you were out ever since high school because we were dancing together.
Oh yeah, we were dancing
we were dancing
in
together
the cheer dancing and stuff.
So parang I felt okay. I'm not gonna ask him about it. Pero parang na-feel ko namang, yes, you are. So, hindi ka talaga
Yeah.
out.
No, I wasn't out to anybody. But that's the thing, right? I wasn't pretending to be something else either. I was just acting like myself. If you assumed I was gay, that's on you. But I never wanted to confirm it because when you were a kid, when bata rin ako, when you would see people now coming out and they're gay and they're being treated differently, parang syempre self-defense mechanism. Ayoko ma-treat that way, diba? So parang you put up a wall not to be as vulnerable to people for fear na they will treat you differently. So sabi ko, I'll just behave like myself. And thankfully nobody bullied me or anything. Maybe because I was a bitch too. So they didn't try. But I wasn't out. I didn't tell anybody. So actually, I'm curious. What was? Because Pia told me the same. I didn't know that it was a big thing. Like what post did I do? Like when I was at parties? Like what was the thing that made you all like, oh?
The one where you were in your underwear.
Yeah.
Posing like a dragon.
God,
A dragon, a tiger.
Dragon. Oh my God! Yeah. Okay, fine, fair enough. Okay,
so you both were in the cheer dance group, right?
Yeah.
And there were other guys who were not gay. So what made you think that Migo was, as opposed to the others?
I don't know, parang gaydar. Parang na-feel ko lang. Na-feel ko lang ever since. So parang okay, he's not like the other guys. And mas close rin siya with girls. And I'm not naman saying all the male people who are, ang hirap tuloy maging politically correct dito sa conversation na to. I'm not saying na lahat
Well,
ng
wala tayong
male.
filter, di ba?
How do I say it? Na
No,
all men who are
no
close with
filter.
girls. Not all men close with girls are gay, diba? But I had the feelings na somewhat parang Migo's different compared to the other cheer dancers.
He's
Yun
more
lang. So I
awesome.
always said,
Yeah.
oo.
Yeah. And that was my way rin of parang exploring. So I like to dance, obviously, but I felt that was one way of me to try to fit in a wider context. Now, I'm with all of these guys, sila Vinci, sila Jared, who are like macho guys, and I'm like, okay, maybe I'll be part of the group and I'll be accepted. So a lot of these things as a gay boy, you kind of go through, and you try to just find your way in the world. So yeah, I mean,
Why did you wait until you moved to Singapore to do that?
I think because it's a new place. No one knows me here, and walang baggage of who I was before.
Yeah.
So they wouldn't be able to judge me.
Mm-hmm.
Si Migo, ganito siya dati, ngayon bakla na siya. They knew me like that, basically. So I could start fresh. Parang write cheesy, but write a new book, open a new chapter, blah, blah, blah. So I can define myself on my own terms. Walang hang-ups na, si Migo, mataba, bakla, all this shit, sissy boy, and all that stuff. So, yeah.
Parang you took everything step by step, which not a lot of people have the luxury to do. So lucky you.
Yeah.
How did your family
I am quite
react?
lucky. How did my family react? My mom, I mean, I think they all knew as well in some shape or form.
In short, everybody knew.
Everybody knew, but the thing that annoys me with my family and how they kind of came up to it was my speculations with family, with relatives. And then I think I had an uncle who approached my mom. Parang chismoso type na parang, uy, yung anak mo ba, si ganon.
And
so medyo na affect yung mom ko about it. So then I think she asked my dad and my brothers if they think I was. And syempre, my male family members are like clueless about it. Like, no, we don't think so. At this point, I was carrying clutches and big yellow stuff and all that. So I wasn't straight, but I wasn't flamboyant either. So I think if you had a self-awareness, you would know that I was. But then, so I think she kind of hid that away. And it wasn't until 3 years ago that I came out to her, and they were okay with it. I mean, she was shocked, of course. She was sad about it, but again, because she knew, she had her inclination. So, we cried about it, but like more like happy crying. Oh, finally I'm out. I can be open to you. We can be honest about each other. No more secrets. Because before, when I would go to Bangkok for all of my parties, I would lie about what I'm doing. Obviously, because I mean, heels and shit, right? But now I can tell her, oh, I have a boyfriend. I'm gonna go do this. I'm gonna go do that. And she, okay, great. Wala nang tataguan. And even with my dad as well, a year after when I came out to him, he was also like, I guess, shocked din siya. I mean, as parents, they have their dreams for you, diba? To have the family, all that stuff. They're like, oh, will this happen for you? Blah, blah, blah. So it was just a lot of me kind of reassuring them that I'm in a good place. Siyempre, as parents, you just make sure na okay, anak mo, diba? So that's why I think it took me a while to come out to them until I was very sure na okay, as an independent woman, I can take care of myself. Basically. Para ma-reassure sila. So that's kind of my journey. And then after that, I came out to my brothers, and then everyone was okay with it. I even brought my brothers to a gay bar, so that's fun.
Wow.
Wait a minute. So you came out to your mom 3 years ago? Did she not see anything? No?
I think when that relative kind of broached the topic to her, she was probably more observant. But she told me that she always had a feeling that maybe I was not entirely straight. Okay. But I guess because she's not the kind to pry and probe. So siguro hinintay lang niya until I came up with. and I guess I had my relationship, my boyfriend 2 years ago. So a lot of these factors kind of pushed me to kind of own up and be mature
Yeah.
about it to my family as well. Because otherwise, how can you have a relationship with my boyfriend without hiding in the shadows?
Yeah.
So I felt okay. It's now or never. If they kick me out, I have money to rent my own place. So great. So okay, fine, whatever.
Does
Yeah,
it
it
have
was
to
only 2 years
do
ago. Yeah.
does it have to do with age also? And parang now you're 33, and is it easier to come out now that in your 30s than in your 20s?
I think personally for me, yes, because like you said, I take things step by step.
Mm.
And hindi ko siya minadali. So I felt like it happened at the time when I'm emotionally ready and mature to do it.
Mm.
But there's no like specific time or the perfect time to do it. Sometimes you get forced out by circumstance if you're a younger person, or maybe
Mm. Mm.
iba lang ang journey mo. But for me, I felt it's not so much age, but just I guess emotional maturity,
Mm.
if that
Mm.
makes sense. Yeah.
Yeah, because even society now is really more accepting, diba? We have all of these
Sure.
shows like our favorite Mama Ru,
Uh,
Drag Race.
exactly.
Yeah.
Yeah. So I think that plays a big part in kind of bringing our stories as queer people out into the mainstream. Now we're not just, I mean, yeah, we're drag queens, we're fabulous, we're bitchy, but there are people behind, there are stories behind that you can relate to as well.
Mm.
That it's not just, we're not just, sexual people. There are real struggles. So I think that was very important for people to see.
What was your biggest difficulty in your journey of acceptance, of coming out, and of actually living it out?
Mm. I think the biggest challenge, I guess it was comes to opening up to my family about it. Because
Mm.
syempre, you're worried that they might, out of everybody, if they're the ones you come out and they're like, oh, I don't agree with this, blah, 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 then that'll be a big kind of blow to my self-esteem and confidence and everything. So that's also why I held back, because I was like, I was very afraid of the conversation
Mm.
to bring it up, right? So when I finally overcame that kind of hesitation, then it was okay. I don't know. I think it was just more like now or never kind of thing.
Yeah.
Yeah, basically.
So
Yeah, that
what
was it.
was
Other than that, I mean, it's been an okay ride so far.
I know I'm very happy that that's how your
Yeah.
journey turned out to be, because I mean, the more common story would be a bit more of a struggle. And I guess it's also good
Right.
to know that, I guess, for people who are still thinking about it, or who are still um, hesitant about this, or
Mm,
starting their journey towards, acceptance and everything else, that it is possible to have a not naman painless, but a more pleasant alam mo yun,
yeah.
discovery experience. It doesn't always have to be so painful and dramatic for everybody.
Correct. Yeah.
Mm-mm.
But I mean, I've always had gay friends, and my
Mm,
first set of gay friends really were in college, because I guess again with age, and with the environment we grew up in, being gay or bi or lesbian wasn't very accepted when we were in high school, grade school, maybe because we're also very young.
mm,
But in college,
mm.
and I went to UP, and that was a, a melting pot of every kind of person you would ever
You
meet.
meet other people. Yeah, correct. Yeah.
So biglang suddenly I have a gigantic gay posse na parang, oh my
Yeah.
God. And it was a learning experience for me too. And so
Uh-huh.
I thought that I was very aware of the community, and it
Uh-huh.
was you actually, when you looked at our outline, that made me
Yeah,
realize
yeah,
na
yeah.
okay, it's really really confusing. And I personally think it has become so confusing now, and like MM
Yes.
said, it's so difficult to be politically correct,
Mm-mm.
True.
because
True.
somehow people become so sensitive about what they're
That's true.
called, how they're
Mm, mm,
viewed,
mm,
and I understand why, but
Mm.
sometimes it's not our fault either. We just don't know, right?
No, that's true. That's true. That's true. I think as gay people we have to start. I mean, for us to understand each other, kailangan mag-usap. So
Mm-hmm.
I think if you are the queer person, you try your best to educate and not always be like antagonize people because they're antagonizing you. Kasi they come from a place of ignorance, diba? Hindi nila alam. So you tell them. And if you as another person, as a straight person, are like if you also listen with that kind of ear, para may magkaintindihan, hindi okay, diba?
Mm.
Um, but that kind of mentality is not always present in many in people on both sides of the conversation. So, but I think slowly it's getting there. So just if you're not sure of what to call a trans person, just ask him. So anong sorry, hindi ko alam anong pronouns ang preferred mo, mga ganyan. So
Mm.
nothing wrong with that. And as the trans person, you should be like, oh, thank you for asking. Ito ang gusto ko. So I think
Okay.
it's about that openness, I feel, but maybe not
Right.
everybody is there. So yeah.
Okay, so explain to me the difference between sexual. What was it again that I mixed up? Sexual orientation,
Oh,
gender identity.
you said that gender identity. So I mean, magkaiba ang gender identity sa sexual orientation.
Okay.
So I can identify. So I'm a biological male. I
Mhm.
identify as the male gender. I express myself physically as a man, right? With all of these clothes and stuff like that. But my preference, my sexual attraction is to men. But there could
Okay.
be, so for example, I might feel like I'm trans,
Mhm.
right? So I identify as a woman, so I'm a trans woman. But when I transition into a woman, I could be a lesbian. Alam mo yun, I
Oh God.
prefer, yeah.
Oh man.
So
Okay.
how you identify and what your physical self is,
Okay.
magkakaiba sila lahat. I know it's confusing,
Okay.
but as on a spectrum, that's kind of how it can be, if that makes sense. So another example could be because a lot of people say that if you're a trans woman, you're immediately gay. Not
Right.
always.
Wait, sorry. So trans
Yeah,
is
yeah.
what? Gender identity or sexual orientation?
Gender identity.
Okay.
Sa pagkakaalam ko, I'm not a doctorate of anything, but it's either so you could be male, you could be female, you could be non-binary.
Okay.
You
I know
do
those.
identify as either of that, right? So trans is when your physical self doesn't correspond to how you identify. So I
Okay.
could be a man now, right, with male physical features, but internally I feel like I should be a woman. That's how I identify. So you transition to make sure that your physical matches your internal feelings. So then when I transition into a woman, it doesn't mean ultimately that I will want to be with men, because
Right.
that's what the construct is, right? As a woman, you have to be with men. I
Okay.
could transition as a trans woman, but be a lesbian because I'm attracted to other women.
Oh my goodness. Okay.
Does that make
Gets.
does that make a little
Yeah.
bit more sense?
So sexual
Right.
orientation is a relating to who you're attracted to, right? Okay.
Yes,
Yeah.
it doesn't always have to relate to what your physical self is, or how you,
Mm.
because there are people who are non-binary, maybe, who like men,
Mm-hmm.
or who like
Wait,
both.
what's non-binary to make sure everyone's on the
They're
same page?
they don't identify either as male or female. They're a bit more fluid.
Okay. So they can be both.
So they maybe I mean, I'm not non-binary. I don't have any non-binary friends, but from my understanding of it, based on what I observe and what I've read, is that there are days when they feel more masculine. Maybe I'll wear
Okay.
this kind of I'll present myself this way. There could be days where they feel more feminine, so they maybe will wear makeup that day or whatever it is. I mean, maybe I'm making it a bit simplistic. I don't want to offend anybody, but that's how I understand it,
Mm.
and that's how I've observed it.
How
So
do
magkakaiba
you?
sila.
How about you? What? What?
Identify.
Yeah.
I identify as a male.
Okay.
Uh, born a man. I want to remain as a man physically. I identify as a male gender, just that I like other guys. So I like men basically.
So
Yeah,
that your sexual orientation is gay. Tama?
it's gay.
Okay.
Yes, correct. Yes. My orientation is gay, but I identify as a man and a male. Yes.
Okay.
Yes.
Where does drag come into play into all of these?
Where does drag? So drag is an art form. Basically, is female impersonation. It's like all these entertainment things, but it doesn't mean that if you're a drag queen, you are gay. It just so happens a lot more performers who are drag are gay because that was a way of them kind of expressing themselves differently. But there are drag queens who are trans men. Like if you're watching the latest episode of series of
Yeah.
Drag
Uh-uh.
Race, Gottmik
Yes.
is a
Yeah.
trans man. So Gottmik was a woman, transitioned into being a man, and is a drag queen.
Yeah.
For all we know, Gottmik maybe likes other girls, so he's technically straight. I don't know. So it's and there are women who also dress up in drag as drag kings, but they're straight. So it's more of an art form and an expression. Maybe it came from the place of I'm gay. I wanna dress like a woman, so I'll do this. It came out as gender expression back then,
Right.
but now it's become much more than that. And there I think there are straight men who perform as drag queens as well. It doesn't mean that they wanna sleep with other men as well. It's just an art form and a performance thing for them.
Right.
Mhm.
Yeah.
So during the time you came out, or even before,
Mm,
when you were still feeling these, or you were still feeling how you might be gay at the time,
mm, mm.
this very complex discussion about sexual orientation and gender identity did not exist, right? It
No.
just evolved over time, and you've
Mm,
been out for 14 years, and in that span of years, sobrang
mm,
dami nang nangyari
Yeah.
in this space,
yeah.
right? So,
Mm,
how do
mm.
you feel about this evolution? Like, did you feel that it made you understand who you are more, or is it convoluting everything else?
I Well, it didn't really affect me personally because I didn't have that kind of dysmorphia. I am a man, but maybe I could be a
Mm.
woman. I didn't have those feelings, so it didn't really affect me. But I guess it's always been there. It's just that over time, people started to define it a lot more
Correct.
clearly, even for the queer people and even for the straight people, especially for the younger kids now. They have options available for them to kind of explore and understand who they are. So that's great. And I think even like I've been saying, even for the straight people to also be more educated about it, I think it's only a good thing. Um, but again, like it's always about education and communication. If hindi mo alam or if hindi ka sure, just ask. I don't think there's anything wrong with that. If you come from a place of genuine like sincerity, na I really want to understand you as my friend or whatever, help me get there. I think that's the mindset that we all should take if we have people in our lives now we're not sure how to behave. Yeah, let them know that you care about them, and when they're ready to come out, you'll come out, and then you're willing to listen. So I think that's kind, and then you can say, oh, you have this information available to say, na, oh, I've read up, tama ba to, blah blah blah. So I think that's what I feel about that. Yeah.
Is there a stark difference between acceptance in Singapore versus how it is in the Philippines in terms of openness,
Um,
maybe?
I think in terms of open, I think it's more or less equal. Kasi the thing, okay, maybe the thing with Singapore is it's a lot more of a secular society. In the
Mm.
Philippines, kasi it's very religious, diba? It's more conservative. But both countries are quite conservative. Here in Singapore, there's actually a law na you can't that criminalizes gay sex. So
Oh, okay.
at any point in time, if the government chooses to enforce it, right, and you can be jailed for being gay, basically. But they haven't repealed it because they're trying to pander to more conservative people in society.
Mm.
But they also said we won't enforce it because there are the more liberal aspects of society like us who are contributing to whatever. So may parang my gray middle ground where everyone's just trying to like compromise. So in that sense, I think it's the discussions are more open here. But it's not entirely like we're more progressive in some respects. Maybe in the Philippines, must accept it because it's entertainment. Unfortunately, to
Yeah,
be seen as gay, right? You're the slapstick comedy, whatever. So it's okay. But then
agree.
there's a stronger macho culture in the Philippines, which is also harder for a lot of young gay boys or lesbians or whatever, queer people to kind of come out. and own themselves. So I think that's what I think is going to be challenging sa Pinas. Dito sa Singapore, yes, we have our own issues, but I think because people here are much more, I hate to say it, but a lot more open-minded, I guess, about these things, then it's more. But of course, you have pockets of homophobes and stuff. But
Of course,
is it more
everywhere
open?
naman.
No.
I guess it also depends on where you do it.
Yeah.
Of course. Kailangan mo yung lumugar as the queer person. Kailangan mo yung lumugar. Read the room. Hindi naman pwedeng papasok ka dyan na parang, oh, hello, rainbows and unicorns. And everyone's like, what the fuck, diba? So, yun din yun.
But
So,
a lot of people would say na why not? They have the right to do it, right? So
true. No, I don't. Yeah, but I think, like I said,
is it because you're Asian?
No, I don't think so. I maybe this is my outlook na parang hindi pa siya. We're not at a point where people won't look twice at you if you are queer. So I don't think you should. I don't. Personally, just means respeto lang to other people, diba? I think kailangan mo ring lumugar. So hindi naman pwede na you just shove it down people's throats also, right? And I feel like, sure, if that's what you feel like, here's your authentic self, great, go for it. But if people react to you differently, don't expect them to just. That's where the conflict comes from. You know, if walang compromise, and I feel na. Like, I mean, yeah. So I don't agree with that. I would love for us to come to that point where it doesn't become a talking point, but we're not there yet. So I think we have to help each other along. That's my point of view. Maybe ano lang ako, masyado lang akong compromiso na tao, pero I think respeto comes in everything. So.
And you know what? That applies to practically everything. You know, not just gay communities, but even issues on racism. It's the political divide more specifically. It's just people always feel like they have a claim to everything, and that the other
or that they're right.
And there is no part of compromise. But another thing that I've always observed, I mean, I know that there is a need to support the LGBTQ plus community.
Plus.
Oh,
yeah, the alphabet. It's the alphabet soup.
The alphabet community. And and also the clamor for more opportunities for this community is very, very strong. But every time there is conflict, it's always stronger if it's within the community themselves. So to me, sometimes I feel it's very hypocritical, you know, when I see one gay person going against another gay person, and when they do that, again, it's just my observation, when that happens, it always becomes so very, very personal, which I feel is not, is not aligned with what the gay community is espousing. So is there, or how strong is the discrimination within the LGBTQ community itself?
Yeah, you're ironic actually that as a community we're trying to fight for equal rights and all this thing, but within ourselves as well there's a lot of discrimination. And I think that comes from a place na, I mean, my observation lang is that, you know, you have your preconceived notions of what you want to be, and sometimes even in an in-group may conflicts then. So for example, in a gay community there is this like ideal na, oh, we have to be the super macho, super masculine and all that stuff, discriminating against more feminine gays, or there are gay boys who are transphobic. So it's very ironic.
Wait, sorry. There are gay boys that are transphobic? What's that mean?
There are some people. There are some gays I've observed who don't like discriminate against trans people.
Why?
Or like look down on them.
Okay.
It's yeah. I mean, I've observed it. I don't know if that's got anecdote. It's only anecdotes. It's not a sweeping statement by any means. Pero there's discrimination, even, you know, from a physical ideal, diba? Like, so it exists. why it exists, I feel like actually I don't know. I think it's just because we're always trying to. Parang there's always a combative state na I'm better than you. I don't know. I really don't know. I haven't thought
Mm-mm.
about that in that, but it's definitely prevalent in the gay community.
Have you ever felt anything that like that against you or towards you?
Uh no. I mean, I guess I'm the outlier. I haven't felt, but that's because
Everything's
but
too
that's
happy,
because
yeah.
I know,
no, but
right?
that's because no, but that's because I was actively trying to fit in to that
Mm, mhm, mhm.
mindset. You know, I mean, it's a
Mm-mm.
very small example, pero like, you know, as a gay person, you want to be seen as attractive, diba? So you try to work out, you try to,
Mm.
you know, look stylish and all that stuff, be sporty and all this shit. So I try to fit that ideal so that at least aangat yung market value ko, if that makes sense. In kind of finding that. So a lot of it is still looks based. So I mean, I'm saying I don't get the discrimination because I think I fit in to that. So,
Right.
but
Is
there are
that
some who maybe don't actively pursue it.
yeah.
Maybe they feel discriminated against. I don't know.
Is that
Mm.
something you would recommend to actively pursue to fit into the ideal?
I don't I don't recommend it because especially now as well because there's so many varied perceptions about
Mm-hmm.
what being gay, what being queer means, right? I come from the older days where para matanggap ka, you have to look like this.
Right.
Para
Mm-hmm.
magka-boyfriend ka, you have to look like this, blah blah blah. So that's
Gumana
where I came
naman.
from. Gumana naman. So it worked out for me in the end. But then I guess in among the younger kids now who are coming up and coming out, they have their own way of doing it. Some of them don't really conform to that mentality anymore. It might change. So I don't know what that could mean for these younger kids, pero I mean that's their own journey to figure out, right?
Is that where your
Mm.
fashion comes from? Because you're very
Yeah.
fashionable. It doesn't look it right now. But your fashion choices,
Is that where my fashion?
even not even without the drag persona, your
Yeah,
normal
yeah,
everyday fashion is very, very hip and updated. Is
yeah.
that where it's
I
coming
mean,
from?
I've always been into fashion.
Mhm.
I've always liked style to kind of present myself well to people, and I like clothes, I like nice things. That's where it came from. It's not trying to fit in because if I wanted to fit in, I would just wear like what every other like Abercrombie Fitch wearing guy is wearing, right? So it's my way of fitting in but standing out
Yeah.
somehow as well to feel and look different and just feel confident in my outfits lah. That's where it comes from.
Mm-mm.
Mm.
I want to
Yeah.
ask more about relationships.
Mm,
If
Wait,
that's
wait, before
okay.
oh,
relationship. I want
oh,
to know first with the fashion thing, when did
sige.
Okay.
Mimosa come out?
Oh, when did Mimosa come out? So for Monique, I'm not sure if you know, Mimosa is my drag alter ego.
Very nice.
Um,
I love it.
yes, yes. I haven't officially like done full geesh, like full on makeup and heels and tuck, so it hasn't happened.
Wait,
But
what? Hindi pa yun
I
yun.
haven't. Hindi pa yun yun. No,
Again,
Gagi, the one
slideshow.
who's
Cue slideshow.
slideshow. Q slideshow. Bangkok, Songkran, circuit parties. I haven't. I haven't. Una, I think it hurts. Number two, my makeup isn't that great. So it's more like a club kid kind of looks. Pero she was born siguro mga God 2010, 2011 when I was out having. So basically, she comes out whenever I'm super drunk. Whenever I'm and I go from like this kind of rational person to be like, oh, let's talk that. That's how if you can see this in Boracay. Basically, that person
Sobra.
that you exactly that was her. So I just describe her as my alter ego. But when I dress up, when I feel more, I guess when I feel
Mm,
more feminine, that's Mimosa.
okay, okay.
Right.
Okay.
So that's where, and it was one of my university friends who gave me that name. I think because I like the drink, yung cocktail na mimosa with
Yeah.
orange juice and champagne. So they're like, oh, maybe this should be your name. Okay, it's stuck, mimosa.
Mm.
That's where it came from. But I haven't done actual drag. I've only done like club kid dressing.
Oh my god, I am shocked.
Yeah, yeah, yeah. I haven't. Well,
Okay,
I
so
guess it's
how?
drag in some sense, but not
Yeah,
like the feminine kind of presenting.
as in the
You know.
butt pads and the hip pad.
No, no, no. I haven't done the butt pads, hip pads, the breastplates. No, I haven't
Oo
done
nga.
that. I haven't done that. Yeah.
So when did you start, or how did you start dressing up as Mimosa? Because that's super starkly different from the Migo.
Mhm.
Yeah, yeah. It was when I started going to gay circuit parties. So I'm
Oh.
not sure if I'm not sure if you all are familiar with those, but basically they're like raves.
Mm-hmm.
And in these raves, there's always themes. So it's like a 3 day, 4 day kind of
And it's
event. Every night, my
required.
different theme. It's encouraged, and a lot of people do dress up in the themes. But because this is one part of the gay community where it's to be hyper masculine, hyper bulked
Okay.
up, that's kind of that's seen. So a lot of people wear harnesses and like as little as possible. But there are some who do conform to the theme. So if it's a military night,
Mm.
we'd be in camo, but camo harnesses, camo underwear, and I would probably go like extra little extra.
Super
If it's a white
extra.
party, everyone's in white, right? But then I would go like, oh, maybe I'll have a costume. I'll be like a little rabbit, whatever shit. Or if it's neon, right? If it's a neon theme, people would just wear like reflective stuff. Oh no, we would have like
Okay.
snakes and like
My
we're
God.
Adam and Eve and shit. So we just like take it to the next level. So I started doing that when maybe 2016, but
Mhm.
I only did full on costuming maybe 2018. Um,
Oh,
and then when
okay.
I met my boyfriend, then we started going out, started going to the party as well because he's into fashion. So we
Mhm.
took it as a chance to kind of play together and kind of come up with concepts and kind of dress up. And it's really more fun. You get a lot more attention on the dance floor. People take photos with you, so it's really fun. So it's a nice escape from
Mm.
my reality or my usual self, who's very kind of like buttoned up, doing
Yeah.
it's just a nice change from it. And it
Right.
only happens maybe twice a year in Halloween or the odd Christmas party or the odd like office party where they're like, oh, you should come dress up. Okay, great. I'll bring out my platform heels. Sure, that's it.
You
Yeah,
feel like
yeah,
a
yeah.
completely different
You wanna
person.
see my platform heels?
Yes.
Yes.
This one, oh.
Oh my
Oh,
God.
I've danced in these. These are
intense.
fun.
Oh my
Yes, these
god.
are fun. I have one more in silver. See?
Oh my
And when you
god.
wear this, you can see everybody. So
I mean,
every
it
once in a
looks
while.
comfortable kasi platform naman siya.
Yes, yes. It's so much fun. And then you kind of strut. So it feels very different.
Oh my god.
Yeah.
That's amazing.
I haven't worn these in a long time because of Corona. Actually I would be
Yeah.
in ano, I would be planning my like yearly Bangkok trip right now if there was no Corona.
Of course.
Yeah.
Okay, go M. Your turn.
Mm.
With the
Ayan.
love life.
Parang gusto ko bumalik sa drag. Wait,
Oh,
one more
sige.
question
Okay.
sa drag before we go to
Go
the
ahead.
review.
Go ahead.
So, like whenever you dress up in that manner, parang do you really feel like you're not Migo anymore? Like you completely transform into this new person.
I think mentality not saying mentality but like yung aura mo feels different. I mean, when you wear heels, you feel a bit more confident, right? I mean, you girls would know, like, parang iba yung
Mm-mm.
asta mo.
Mhm, mhm. You feel
Yeah, and
sexier.
it's a yeah, it's a nice, powerful feeling. And then there was one time when I was wearing these platform boots, and I was in like a little mini romper, like very Ariana Grande type of thing. And I felt so like, like you can't
Yeah.
even touch me, don't even try. Parang ganyan yung feeling. You feel so
I
like you
love
can't.
it.
Parang yung ganung feeling. So it's nice. I mean, it's still me, but it's like
Mm, mm,
the next level of me. Yeah,
mm.
yeah. It's fun. It's fun. I can't wait to do it again. I wish Corona would just go away.
Oo nga eh. So, when did you
Okay.
start dating guys? Was it immediately after you knew na you're gay?
I No. I
Mm.
think okay. So from that perspective of exploration, it was not dating immediately. It was more like sexual exploration, I guess.
Iba pa yun.
Since we have no
Mm-mm.
filter in this channel, it was more that, right? But maybe I dated here and there siguro in my high school day, in my university days. Maybe
Oh my
one or two
god!
guys. But
Really?
no, but it was like, oh, one date, and then we
Okay.
didn't hit it off, or like I had like one guy who was like seeing me for like 4 or 5 dates. Then it felt weird because I didn't know what it means to be in a relationship.
Mm-mm.
I didn't know
Mm-mm.
how to behave that way. For me at that point, being gay was, oh, let's just have so much sex.
So when was your first sexual
Oh,
encounter?
oh my God.
As in sex,
That was,
hindi kiss.
yeah. Like penetrative. Fuck. 18, 19. I can't remember. I think I went back to Manila for a visit. And wala pang Grindr noon, wala pang
Ah,
Craigslist. I think what I did was, there was those TV channels where they would like just text and shit. Oh my God, it was ratchet as fuck. I met some random guy, and it was like, what is going on?
oh my god,
Like, it
seriously.
was
Yung
it was bad.
nagsiscroll?
It was, yes. I was
Migo!
like, shit, am I gonna be killed? But again, experimentation, blah blah blah. So that was the first
How was
proper.
it?
Ah.
I think I've blocked it out from my mind. Fuck, wait.
Top or bottom?
It
Kinalimutan mo
was
na.
it was interesting. I mean, I knew mechanically what would happen, but I didn't know like emotionally how it would feel. I felt like, okay, that's it. Okay, great. I've ticked that off the box. Let's try something else with somebody who's hotter.
So what were you
Parang,
the first time? Were you top or bottom?
I was the bottom, I think, for my first time. Hey, bottom shamer.
No! Ang sakit kasi.
Bottom shamer.
Ang sakit. It's painful.
Yeah.
Oh my
Yeah.
gosh. How
I was the
did you
bottom. Yeah.
how did you prepare for being bottom for the very first
I
time?
I didn't know anything. Thank God hindi siya naging chocolate highway.
Okay.
Thank God. But it was just like, I don't even know if anything, or if anybody arrived. I don't even know. I don't even remember. If you know, but it was just like one of those things where because again, I had no one to tell me these things. So I just went with it.
Yeah.
I just went with it.
Did it hurt?
And then that was kind of, obviously it would have hurt. So that's kind of so that's where the first part of my kind of exploration was. It's just sexual. So I dated back to NM's question. I did date here and there, but nothing serious. So it wasn't until, and you also couldn't find like the right kind of guy to click it off with. A lot of these guys was like also in it for the sex. So you're like, okay, so
Yeah.
we just gonna have sex. Okay, great. You try to like build something more, they don't want to, or there are some guys who want to, but then you're like, oh, I'm not sure about this. So I mean, it's typical for any other person to when they're exploring this part.
Right.
Um,
Yeah.
it wasn't until much later when I met my kind of bigger group of gay friends that I kind of explored it a lot more actively in terms of sex and dating. And then it wasn't until I met my boyfriend 2 years ago that I actually had a boyfriend or relationship. So yeah, yes, he's
How
younger.
much
He's
younger?
11 years younger.
Wow.
Yes,
Wow. And how does he identify
20.
himself, man?
He's gay as well.
Okay.
Yeah. So he's 11 years younger. He studies fashion. He studied fashion marketing. So now he's just waiting to go to the army. So
Oh,
we've been
right.
together
Yes.
for 2.5 years, coming to 3 in April.
I mean, until now, I think coming out and coming to terms with yourself, I don't think it got any easier. If anything, it might have become more complicated because of, again, the many ways the community evolved and how people, because I feel like people pretend to be open, to be accepting and whatever, but then they still have their biases. Um,
That's true.
hidden behind maybe decades of how society really dictated how things should be. So if there is anyone who's planning to come out or scared to do it,
Mm.
what would you say to that person?
I would say take your time. Don't
Mm.
rush it. And there's no right or wrong way to do it. Um, there will come a point in your journey where you just feel it's the right time to do it. And I think so that's one. Don't force yourself to do anything you're not ready to. Don't define yourself for anybody but your own terms. If people keep pestering you, bakla ka no, bakla ka no, bakla ka no, don't
Mhm.
feel that you have to respond to that.
Oh
You
yeah.
don't owe them any validation. It's your own life. So that's number two. Yeah. So yeah, like I say, take time, right? So you have to be there should be a maturity in you to do that. And number three, find a person who you can confide in. It doesn't have to be your family. It has to be somebody that you really trust, who loves you and who can call you out for your bullshit, but also like help you along the journey. So, because I was able to do it by myself because I mean that's who I am. But maybe not a lot of people
Mm.
can do that. It's not an easy thing to do. So find that one person you can turn to talk about these things. It doesn't have to be a gay person. It can be
Mhm.
anybody in your life who you feel comfortable with. So that's what I would say. And it gets better. The closet's dark. Outside is pretty and rainbows and everything. So come, come out.
The Chismis Table.